into things. I think it maxed at 150. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and get started. Hi everyone, welcome to Women in A&R from Amethyst Collab. I'm Olivia, the founder of Amethyst Collab, and we're gonna jump right into introducing our wonderful panelists. So Karla, do you wanna go ahead and start us off?
Hi guys, my name's Karla. I'm an A&R at APG Atlantic. I work with Don Tolliver, Quando Rondo on the artist side. On the pub side, I work with Go Grizz and London J, who's a writer.
Awesome. Brooke, you're up.
Hi guys, I'm Brooke Story. I work at Universal Music Publishing as an A&R. I work across all genres with developing writers and then also producers and artists. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, Brooke. Katerina, you're up.
Hi, I'm Katerina Nasser. I work in A&R at Elektra Music Group. And I work with a few artists there, like the band Camino, Chloe Moriando, Bryn Cartelli, Sebastian Javier, and a few others. But I'm really excited to be here with everybody today.
Awesome. Thanks, Katerina. Margaux, it's all you.
Hi guys, I'm Margaux Grober, and I am an A&R at Arista, which is one of the 4 majors under Sony. And I do a lot of A&R research, actually, and I just came over from Atlantic Records kind of right before COVID hit, so it's an interesting time. And yeah, just happy to be part of this.
Thank you, Margaux. We're happy to. Kate, you are up.
Hi, everybody. My name's Kate Loesch. I'm an A&R at Capitol Records, and I A&R Death by Romy, Jutes, and Tusi.
Awesome. Okay, Marguerite, it's all you.
Hey, I'm Marguerite Jones. I'm an A&R at RCA Records. I A&R Mulatto, Wheezy Outta Here, and I help out with Pressa and Maxo Cream.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. Welcome to the panel, and I'm so happy you're all here. So let's jump right into things. What is something that you have accomplished recently as an A&R that you're really proud of? And you can all just kind of go ahead and jump in.
Well, since we're all ladies, I signed, the only woman so far that I've signed is an incredible, inspiring artist named Death by Romy, and she's a star. If you're not aware, look her up. There's not any artist like her that I can compare her to, really, but she just stands for everything that I've always believed in as a woman and as a human being. And for that to be the first woman I've signed in my career, it's like if I had to quit tomorrow, I would be happy, because I just think she embodies everything that I believe in. And it's like, it's a business, but at the end of the day, like, who you sign is really your job and what you put your name on. And so that, to me, is a very, very proud moment.
Yeah, and I think just even piggybacking off of that, when I was at Atlantic, I signed this girl, Whipped Cream, who actually worked with her. Yeah, and she was the first female to ever be signed to Big Beat, which is the electronic sub-label there. So, and there's such little female producers, so that was also definitely a really good feeling to just like putting women in a position of power. And she's also just like the most amazing person ever, and I still talk to her probably like once every other week or so. So like you said, just who you sign, and like no matter what happens in the end is just like, you know, the stamp that you leave, and it's, you know, part of you and your identity.
I can't wait to sign a female. Being a new mom, it's just like your taste changes so much. The music that I listened to before being a mom and now is completely different. And coming back, I'm just like, wow, I can't wait to sign a female and just, you know, put music out there that I'm truly passionate about. And, you know, just have something different and fresh and refreshing. Just, you know, coming from the standpoint of life now, it's completely different than before.
Yeah, I agree with, oh, sorry, go ahead.
You go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I agree exactly what you guys are saying. Like, being in a room full of women, at Universal, we do all female camps, which is She Is the Music, and we partner with a ton of different people and labels. And I know a lot of you have been a part of those. And it's one of those things where you're kind of in a room and you see these women that maybe were a little timid to go into a room because they've always had guy producers. And then when they go in there and they just shine, it's just something really, really cool. And then just, there's something to be said about like female encouragement back and forth and in a room, how you can create and these feelings become lyrics, and then it becomes this amazing song. So I'm definitely proud of the females that have showed up and like really have created from just being in a room full of females.
For sure. And kind of like Kate said, I think so much about signing is just signing from your experience. And I think something I'm super proud of recently is I signed and I'm developing a Latin pop artist named Sebastian Javier, who's incredible and I'm so excited about. And, you know, I stand by the idea of signing things that you wish you had when you were younger. And, you know, I'm Latin myself. I grew up in Texas. I have a mother from Peru, grew up listening to salsa music and Latin pop, but then I'm also a fangirl, and I grew up with Bieber and Jonas Brothers and all of that stuff. And I never had the thing in the middle that really felt like, you know, a bilingual teen heartthrob, like an Enrique for today. And I always wanted to find it. And Sebastian just walked into my life. And then kind of like Kate said, like we just had the same mentality on that. And he wanted to, you know, fill Madison Square Garden with like screaming girls who spoke Spanish and English and felt like they could relate to him and his story. And, you know, working on that has been so incredible to like speak to my culture and his culture and, you know, work to build something from like the ground up. It's been really, really amazing to see.
That is beautiful. We're gonna pause really quick and introduce Trophy. Hi, Trophy. Thank you so much.
Hi, guys. I didn't get the updated link. Sorry.
No problem. It happens. Do you want to give us a quick intro to you, Trophy?
Yeah. My name is Trophy. I'm an A&R at Cinematic Music Group. I just made 2 years there, and I A&R 2 artists currently. Their names are Loesch, and I just signed a 15-year-old from St. Louis named Newski 2 Squad. He just dropped his first project. It's called Lost Child. Go listen.
Trophy, we're so happy to have you here with us.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. So, Trophy, we were just each saying something that you've recently accomplished as an A&R that you're proud of.
Something that I recently. I don't know. Can one of you guys finish up and then get back to me? I have to adjust.
I'll answer. So I'm really proud of being able to release 3 different artist projects right before I went on maternity leave. It was crazy. It was hectic. One was Don Tolliver, one was Quando Rondo, and the third one was a new artist that we're developing named YK Tune. It was just so much work clearing and just making deadlines, shooting videos, getting everything turned in on time. I learned a whole lot from the process, and it just made me feel really empowered.
Wow.
Especially right going into maternity leave.
Oh my God, it was insane. My boyfriend was like, I can't believe you're still working. You need to put your feet up. Everyone was like, oh, it's still out. Like, I'm like, no, like personally, it was a goal I needed to just knock out. I'm like, no, I don't want anyone to have anything to say like, oh, well, you know, she's pregnant, she's going to maternity. Nah, let me knock this out and, you know, just continue to be a beast.
Wow.
Love it.
You're amazing.
Yeah, honestly, inspiration.
Also, I mean, outside of just like the normal day job, I'm really, really proud to be a part of her music club, which Monique Chavez started. I was telling you, Olivia, about we'd love to do something with you, but it's a collective for women similar to this, but it was pre-COVID, so it had been event-based, and we feature up-and-coming all female DJs, artists, executives, things like that. And it's just really about bringing the community together. And like, you could be an intern, you could be the VP, and you're in the same room having the same sort of conversations. And so just like what you guys have started with this, it just makes women feel really comfortable and empowered. So outside of like the normal day job and hustle and bustle, that's what really keeps me going.
Yes. Love that.
Okay, so I guess I'll take back the mic. One thing that I'm really proud of recently, I'm gonna just say my latest signing. He was 14, and basically just preparing his project, and we had like a really crazy sample. It was Life Jennings, Must Be Nice. Just working through that in the process, and just just getting him and developing him, and yeah, that's my most recent greatest achievement. He was 14 when I found him. He had just lost his home and his dad, and that was just something that was really, really important to me at the time.
That's amazing.
Very dope. I guess I'll piggyback off of that. Yeah, I think with signing Mulatto, which we finalized like I probably say in like December, January, with her, I think the biggest accomplishment that I've really been happy with lately, just her being a female, and I think Atlanta has so much of like the urban culture. She's actually this week is the first female from Atlanta, that first female rapper from Atlanta to get a plaque. So that was like
That's huge.
That is so amazing. I did not know that.
To even think about was just crazy, I think, because like we think about all the men coming out of Atlanta that rap, and it's like there's so many legends, and I think on the female side, Atlanta hasn't had that yet, and I was shocked. So
you guys have done an incredible job with her.
Yeah, phenomenal. We're looking out for her release with Gucci this week for sure.
Thanks.
Awesome. Anyone else? Okay, I think we all went on that one. So let's go on to the next one. So what are some misconceptions that you guys think that people have about A&Rs?
I'll jump in. I mean, I think a huge part when you're on the outside looking in is that it's all about the chase and the discovery and the signing, and such a huge part of the job. But like once you sign, you have to make records, you have to make songs, you have to execute visions and work with your artists and the teams, and that's the true heart, I think, of the process. And you have to fall in love with that just as much as you have to fall in love with the chase and the discovery of it all. And I think everyone in here can speak to experiences on both sides that have been challenging, but I think that's a misconception. Like it seems like this, you know, you just sit and find music you like all day and sign things early, but you know, you have to get to the heart of making great records and executing those visions that you promised to your artists and following through on that side too.
I think people think that, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, well, A&R is like a dead career path, because artists today record on their own, they put music out freely. People don't understand that you still have to cultivate that talent, and that's really where the stars get made.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll piggyback off that. I feel like
I think I would say that.
Sorry, Trippy, go ahead.
No, I think my thing is delayed.
Was it delayed?
But yeah, one misconception is that people think that we're like managers, and we're not. Like, you know, we manage the music. We don't manage the whole talent, you know?
Sometimes. I feel like sometimes, though, I feel like you are like the mitochondria of the project, though. And sometimes it ends up being all you. Because I feel like at the end of the day, too, when like you're handling a project, it's like everybody somehow ends up turning to you as the A&R if you sign the project, and it's just like suddenly it's like the artist turning to you and the manager turning to you and everyone at the label turning to you and being like, hey, so what's going on with this? And I feel like sometimes though you end up feeling like the manager, not just like the person like behind the music. And it's definitely sometimes can be like an overwhelming feeling, and sometimes a really like empowering feeling because you're like accomplishing a lot and you feel like you're responsible for a lot of things. You know, and it's definitely good to establish a balance and establish boundaries. But I definitely think, and I definitely didn't realize like in the beginning of my A&R career that like that was a part of the drill. Like, you know, Katerina was saying, you know, you finding music or even just like digging into the music, like you kind of don't think that you're gonna wear like every single hat, but at the end of the day, when you sign someone, it's just like you are living and dying by that artist. So it's like if someone's not doing their job anywhere on that person's team, it's just like you kind of end up picking up that person's weight because you're just like, well, damn, I don't want this release to like not do well or my artist to not do well. So you kind of like jump in wherever, and it's kind of crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that A&R is a glamour job, that we just like sit at Soho all day and fucking like eat tuna tartare. And it's like, well, some do. I know none of us here do because we work way too hard, and our artists and their success have shown that. But it's like, you know, you go from your 9 to 5 and then we're into the studio sometimes, or we're listening to music all night, or, you know, we're waiting for that producer agreement so that production delivers it. Like we have to manage hundreds of thousands of dollars in budgets. We have to learn how to read legal documents. We have to learn how to, you know, appease the artist and not piss the label off, and vice versa. And it's like, you work for the label, but you really work with the artist. And it's just so like the dynamics of it. And so it's funny because it's like, when I think about the best A&Rs, women come to mind because our whole lives we've had to live our life that way, of wearing so many different hats and reading the room. And that's what we do daily as A&Rs. And so it's just like, I love being around other women that are A&Rs or who are interested in it, because we kind of just have a sixth sense. But yeah, so many friends from back home and everywhere else are like, oh, so you just like get to go to concerts all the time and hang out with the artists. And it's like, if I have my free time, I want to be home alone.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, it's actually been really weird not having to go to shows or anything. Like, used to live for those nights where you're just like, oh, sick. Like, I get to be home and watch Hulu, and now all of a sudden that's like totally gone. But
Right.
I don't know, anyway. But no, yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah.
I feel like another misconception, sometimes kind of like a nasty one, is just that like an A&R is going to completely steal your creative freedom. And I think that like for me, specifically working with like very closely with the songwriter and producer part of it versus the artist, like I have to like really, really focus on our relationship and building that trust with the writer, and just knowing that like I'm here to elevate them, and I'm here to pitch their songs, and I'm here to give them opportunities. And like, and that's the thing. It's like, I want you to be the full on creative in it. And then I'm just going to help elevate the process and like get you the opportunities that you need, and get you to places that you want, and get you those meetings with the labels you want to be on. And so it's like, that is always, I feel like sometimes people see like movies and they're like, oh, the A&R is like the bad guy, like referencing like Star is Born or something. And I'm like, no, like, you know, we're good. We're good people. We're just trying to help you in your creative process, not going to take your freedom.
That's a great one, bro. It's important.
Yeah, we sometimes have to be the one, I think, to like be realistic also. So while we're here for our opinion, and that's how people love our opinion so much, like there's times when they don't want to hear it. And I think that, you know, being an advocate of everyone almost, it's like being, you know, you're advocating for your artist, but also the label, but also, you know, everyone's interests. Yeah, it can be a little tricky.
Yeah, and I think there's even misconceptions like internally once you're at a label or publishing company about like the A&R department and how it's off on its own island, and it's just this thing that, you know, is untouchable. But it's really, like he said, like you're just so in the weeds with the artist, helping them make what they want to make. And, you know, I work with two 17-year-old girls right now, Chloe Moriando and Bryn Cartelli, and like they're 17. Like they need to call me when they, you know, finish a session or like have a question. And you know, you're there at every step of the process. And so I think from internally at a label, it's just a different set of steps that you go through, that once you pass you know, a release or an EP or an album to the marketing department, whatever, you're never really passing it. Like you're still so involved. And I think the best A&Rs are people that continue to be involved with the project past just the recording process point, because, you know, you're the people that signed it. You're the people that saw it for what it's going to be in the future and what it's going to build to. And you're also in the weeds, like I said, about what's going to sound like. And the core of every project is the music. And then everything else is just second, you know?
And being so close to the artist, I think a lot of times too, like, you know, you don't just look at the music, right? You look at them and you're like, what's best for their life? I mean, like the best A&Rs, I feel like they have this relationship with their artists where it's like, you know, you have to think about them outside of the music too. Like what do they need? Like what, you know, can help them create more freely.
Yeah.
Great one, Marguerite. So,
and even understanding when, like, you know, you're getting pressure from whoever it may be, but to put music out, and where's this and where's that? And it's like, but have you checked on this human being of an artist yet? Like, where are they at mentally? I know COVID for a lot of artists when it hit, and executives, people everywhere in the world, but artists especially, it was really hard to grasp, like, that they needed to slow down and stop and learn how to create in a different way maybe. And it's like, yeah, well, we need to get music out, we also need to make sure that this human being is like okay. So as A&Rs, I also feel like we're like that therapist in a sense, aside from management, but we have to be that buffer for the label to be like, we need to take a beat for right now. Like, let's just put this on pause for a second, because they're going to be in a better space creatively if we allow them to breathe.
Absolutely.
That is so important, all of you. Thank you. So our next question is, people often talk about the challenges of being a woman in music, but what are some of the positives to being a female A&R?
We're nurturing. We're the most nurturing. I think that, and I just thought about it the other day when we were looking at these questions, and one of our artists, I A&R him with a male A&R, and he called me when something was going wrong, and he was like, man, Karla, like, when are you coming back? You know, this is what's happening, and, you know, I'm frustrated, and he was upset, and I'm like, all right, calm down, like, this is how we, you know, we should handle it. And I just think that being a woman, you just have, like Kate said, you have the sixth sense that is completely different from a male, and you just have different insight on how to just calm a situation down and how to get what you want without being so combative. So I just think just the nurturing side of things.
Yeah, I think we're so hyper aware as women to everything around us and to everybody's body language and mood and their energy that, like, we don't miss if something's off with anybody in the room. Like, we already are on it by the time we walk in. And I think that some of our male counterparts just have never had to be that aware.
Yes.
We have to be so aware of ourselves. Like, should I not wear high heels to the studio? Like, maybe I should wear sweats and sneakers because I don't want, you know, to give off this weird, like, we're so hyper aware. Right, Karla, I know you know, like, and so.
What do I wear today? Do I wear heels? Do I wear sweatpants, sneakers? Like, what sneakers do I wear? They're gonna think I'm whack because I got on these Vans and not Nike. Like, it's just so much.
It's so much. Do I wear my wedding ring because people are gonna judge me that I got married young? Like, literally, you have to overthink everything as a woman because men judge you so much, and they'll tell you to your face or they'll like say something behind your back, and it's just like something you deal with from like the moment you step foot in this industry, and it's just not a great thing. But like, you know, like Karla said, we are nurturing, and like, I think we have an amazing attention to detail. And we think things through. I think men are just so quick to just do and execute and just like, okay, just go. And then I think it's kind of like us, whereas like the yin and the yang to be like, okay, well, like, take a step back. Like, have you actually like thought about this for a second and like thought about this logistically? Like, if you were to actually say this or do this or whatever, how this would come off, you know? And I think a lot of the times when you have these conversations with like your, you know, male coworkers or artists that you work with, they're kind of like, oh, you know, like that's actually like a fair point. And, you know, I definitely think it's like a woman thing to like think. Not that guys don't think, but like, you know, I think we think a little extra. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely a little specialty that we carry.
Well, I think also A&R is like such a notoriously male dominated part of the business because at the end of the day, it's a department of giving your opinion. It's a department of raising your hand when you think something is special. It's bringing something in with confidence that it's going to go and be something. And, you know, more often than not, as a woman in a room, you're like worried about if you're coming across as abrasive or quiet. Like, you're just constantly worried about if your pitch is good enough, if your pitch is hitting correctly. And going off of what Karla said, we have this ability to articulate emotions and needs. And I think that lends itself so well to the A&R process and the signing part of it and the, you know, music making part of it. Because like Margaux said, we have so much attention to detail, and we can call a producer and be like, hey, you know, like my artist wanted to talk about the bridge, but they felt like worried to tell you. And I wanted to let you know, I wanted to call you and be transparent. They want to change it to like, you know, have more, it's just like that ability and that approach that I think women are just a little more keen to in a different way. And I also think a huge benefit of being a female in this industry is being in the demographic. And more often than not, like, you know, I'm lucky to work with a company where like I have, you know, bosses that turn to me and go, okay, what do you think of this? You know, because they want to know what I think, and they know my ear and my background, and what I like to listen to. And more often than not, like, you know, they're turning to the young women in the room and asking what they think. And I think that, you know, is invaluable as well, to really like take your own experiences and apply them to the things that, you know, you're working on, or the other things that your label is working on as well.
Yeah. And we're in the room for a reason. I think like the overthinking, it's like we're always going to do it. It's no way to like, I think, shake it, but I think you always got to remember that like you're in that spot and you're in that building for a reason. Like, and artists, I think more and more too, like they know that they need it, you know, like we lead with love, and I think nurturing is the key word here. But yeah, like I had an artist the other day, my friend A&Rs, and he called me and he's like, can you come listen to the album? He was like, it just dawned on me, not one woman has listened to the album. And it was like, you know, they had great ideas and it was interesting the way they were looking at things, but he was just like, certain words or just certain like, you know, like what emotions do you feel? Like it's important, I think.
That's interesting. I like that he thought of that though.
Mm-hmm.
A song is different from a female's perspective, whether it was written itself by a female or like, it's just like, how do you relate to it? What part jumps out to you? Which lyric? What, the chorus, the verse? Like what? That's definitely, every record should be listened to by both genders before it comes out.
And it's like we've always had to think about things from a guy's perspective, like just from, I think, I don't know, from forever, even before music, because just life and unfortunately society, where I don't know, I mean, I don't know if it's so much the other way around, unfortunately. I think we're getting there. But, you know, so I do think also like, you know, being a female A&R, it's just like when you do listen to things and digest things, it's like, you know, we kind of do think about things from every angle, you know, and I think we are sensitive to, you know, all genders and, you know, all backgrounds, because I think, you know, as a woman, and we're just kind of like programmed to be more sensitive to more types of people and kind of like less abrasive, I think, than others.
Yeah, and communication being everything, everybody knows it's not always like what you say, it's how you say it. So I think like when there's multiple team members and someone's like, yeah, I told him, like, why is he not, like, why he's late? He's doing it like this, or he's doing it like that. And it's like, whoa, like you can't always like communicate it like that. You know, we're trying to get to the same endpoint, but like how we get there is sometimes a little different.
Definitely. All right. Well, thank you all. So our next question is going to be, what is one career move that you made that you think helped get you where you are today?
I think I'll start. I think something super important in my career was interning before I actually became an intern. Before I actually became an A&R, because it helped me network with people that are now my peers at other labels and, you know, things of that nature. It just opened a lot of communication and doors that are, you know, helping me now as an active A&R. So I felt like that was super important. It's huge.
Yeah, I feel like, Trophy, that's exactly how I feel too. Like if you can get an internship, like be an intern, if you can just get out there, whatever you have to do, because I think that really, when I was at school in college, I was like, I have no idea what I want to do. And I knew I loved music, but I didn't know you could really make a career out of it. And then I interned at a radio station, and one thing led to another. I worked in radio promo for a little bit. And then I realized how much I loved the song making process and working with artists, and moved over to A&R. And now I'm on the A&R publishing side. But if I didn't start just somewhere, just being like, okay, I'm going to go for this, and I'm just going to try everything and find the things within music that I love and where I want to be, like I would have never gotten there. And so like seeking out a mentor or an internship or just anything that you can like really get involved, like that will pave the way for you. You never know where you're going to end up, and that's like how I think most of us got where we are now.
Yeah, I think that my biggest moves have always been made because I bet on myself in like the biggest times of uncertainty. So I interned for 2 years within Sony, well, Universal and Sony. And then when I was graduating, I basically sat the head of Epic Records down at the time. And I said, listen, I need a job by next week or I'm going to work for a competing label. So you play into ego, right? I was like, I'm either going to get thrown out of his office or I'm getting a job. I got a job out of it. Like, he wasn't going to let me go to another label. And then when Epic moved their headquarters to LA, they were like, listen, move with us or you don't have a job. And I'm like, I'm 20, how old was I? 24 at the time. I was like, I don't really want to move to LA, but what else am I going to do? Move to LA. Fast forward a year and a half later, wasn't getting what I wanted at Epic. So I quit without a serious full-time job lined up. And it was like, I just constantly bet on myself. And then 3 months later, I landed at Capitol, and Ashley Newton gave me an incredible opportunity and believed in me. And it's just like, those 3 examples right there were all about me just betting on myself. And I think you're never, like, you can fall on your face or you can bet on yourself, and it's a 50-50 chance, but you know, the odds are usually in your favor.
Love that.
It sounds so like corny and cliche to say like don't give up, but you know, especially, you know, talking about the internship process, there were times, you know, I think we've all been there. There's times when you'll do 2-3 interviews and you'll be right there at a job that you think is everything that you wanted so bad, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. And I think there were months and months where I would do like anything in the industry. Like I was, you know, whether it was like blogging or whether it was, you know, working at radio stations or, you know, don't be afraid of the work and don't be afraid to do things. I think intern sometimes free or, you know, being paid less than you should be, because all of it, I think, is building your experience. And when you're actually in the position that you want to be, you'll be prepared for it.
You can bring him here.
Definitely. And I think trying, like Brooke had mentioned, like, you know, if you don't know what you want, really just, you know, going where it takes you and learning stuff. And I didn't know what A&R was till I was like 21. Like I interned at radio stations with managers, and I came from like the Austin scene, which is a lot smaller than New York or LA, but I just learned everything I could, and I learned every moving part. And it was at the radio station I learned what A&R was. And that was when it was planted in the back of my head, like, oh, I think I want to do that, but I'm still not sure. And I ended up at CAA interning and booking because I thought I wanted to maybe be an agent, and I realized the work just really wasn't for me. And to weave in what Kate was saying, if it's about advocating for yourself and telling your story, because I ended up meeting a sports agent at CAA, not even a music agent, who I just told, you know, I don't like this work. I think I'm an A&R. I want to develop artists. I want to sign things I believe in. You know, I found Ed Sheeran when I was 15 and it changed my life, and I told every single person about him, and nobody thought it was going to happen, and then it did. And I was just really just telling him, you know, my passion and where I came from. And he was like, you know, you should meet my best friend from growing up. He developed Ed Sheeran from day one, and I think he'd love you. And that's my boss now. So I think it's really about, you know, telling your story and trying out things and figuring out what that story is. And then that will come together, and you'll, you know, also like Kate said, I think finding someone that believes in you is so important in this business, and finding, you know, a mentor, somebody in a position that looks at you and says, hey, I know you're going to do great things and I want to do them with you, is such a huge part of this. But yeah, just keep trying, like Marguerite said too, and like learn things and not be afraid to fall on your face, because you're gonna, but you'll get back up always.
Yeah. You know, and I also think just, you never know when and how you're going to meet people who could potentially change your life or your career. Like my first real job out of college was at Big B Atlantic, and like one of my best friends in college, I went to Rutgers. She was like doing pre-law. And, you know, I was doing a bunch of music industry internships all throughout school, just like random stuff, like live music things, like the Fader and Bowery Presents, like random stuff. And she knew I was into it. She's like, totally go meet my aunt. Like she works in music at a record label. And I was like, oh yeah, like I'd totally just be down to go meet her. Like, of course. And she's like, yeah, she works at Atlantic. And I was like, yeah, like, of course I'd be down. And like, I just went to go to her office and like, just do like an informational interview. It wasn't like anything like official. I was like a senior in college, and she just told me all about like her job and like how she got started and like, you know, her, just everything about like her, and showed me around the office. And I was like, oh my gosh, this girl is so badass. Like, I want to do that. Like, I want to be that. That's like insane. And I was like so inspired. And I just like kept annoying the shit out of her and sending her my resume like every 5 minutes. I mean, not that often, but like a lot, like as I was graduating, and she ended up hiring me. Like I remember she spoke to me, and then a couple minutes literally after I left, she like sent me a text saying like, hey, we're going to hire you. And that was like my start into the business. And then my next move to Sony, I met my current boss at a panel that was at a casino in Queens. Like I literally thought like this was like going to be like a joke. And I literally met like my boss. So you really never know when you're going to meet people or like how, and it's really crazy. So just never discount anything. Life is weird. I don't know.
That's great. Okay, well, thank you all. And now on to our last question and my favorite question. What is one piece of advice you would give for a young woman who wants to become an A&R?
Be fearless.
That's a great one.
Be fearless. Don't ever take no for an answer, but there is entry level, at least. This was the best piece of advice I got when I was younger. There's a really fine line of when you have to be a fly on the wall and then when you have to speak up, and knowing the difference and reading the energy of the room can make or break you. But as a woman, we sort of have to learn that fine line a little bit more, I think, than others. So that's why I say be fearless. If you have something to say it. If you're unsure that it's the right thing to say, find a mentor. Find a group of women, a group of men. Men have always championed me my entire career as well. Anybody who you can trust, because there's a lot of snakes in this game. Just lean into that and develop those relationships. Like the chat is going off right now, and I see everybody communicating with each other, and that's exactly what you should do. Like instead of trying to reach upwards, go lateral. Who's next to you? Who can you build with? That's huge. And it's like, I knew a couple of these women here today. I know Brooke and I know Karla, but it's like, I'm like, what else are we working on? Like, what's Katerina working on? What's Margaux working on? What's Trophy working on? What's Marguerite working on? Like, let's all collaborate. And that's how you grow. Don't be the coolest in the room.
Yeah.
I would say own your ear, own your background, own where you come from. I spent so long, like, you know, I come from Bieber, One Direction, Jonas Brothers land. Like, and I spent, you know, a long time, early start of the music industry, masking it underneath the rock stuff I liked. And I love that stuff, and I love to sign that stuff. But it was when I realized, you know, why I was wanting to do the business that I really just started to own who I was. And then also, you know, I was like, oh, you know, I can't sign Latin stuff. Like, I work at a notoriously pop alternative label. But then I was like, no, like, I want to sign Latin artists. And, you know, own where you come from, own your ear. It's what makes you unique. You're going to find the thing because of, you know, your experiences and what you're able to catch that other people can't. And I think with that, it's so important to always put forth your most authentic version of yourself, because that's going to carry into the songs you make and your relationship with your artist. Your artist wants to know you, and just like they're being as honest as they can in their music, you need to be as honest as you can with them. And that starts with you, again, like owning, you know, who you are and what you come from. And I've been up and down with what that is too, but I know now that the only way I'm going to find meaningful artists that connect globally is by, you know, the things that I connect with, that I know that other people are going to too. And that's a hard thing, especially as a young girl, because you're constantly told like what you like to listen to is trash, you know, but it's not, it's absolutely not. And there's a reason things are popular, and there's a reason that stadiums are filled with people for things that you like and you know, want to see that through one day for things that you find.
I'd say too, like, if you're a young woman trying to get into A&R and like your first gig is not an A&R, don't just like give up, because A&R jobs are unfortunately like so scarce. And I feel beyond blessed that I was able to start my career in A&R at 22. And, you know, so much of it has to do with like timing and just like random relationships, like I said earlier. And it's just like, doesn't mean that you're like bad, or so much of it is just like universe lining up, and it, you know, start somewhere. Like I wouldn't say just like totally give up the dream, go into another field, or like never like close the book. Like go do something in music, like go apply, like just do something that like builds your career and your resume. Don't just like, you know, throw in the towel, I would say. And I guess another thing that I would advise to young women too is that like you'll just see, and this is something I would just tell my younger self, is don't get frustrated like that you're going to be held to a higher standard than boys. Like, and that's just going to be the deal. And maybe one day that will change. But if I could tell my younger self something, it would be like, let it go and like just channel that frustration. And I think I learned this pretty quickly into just like working hard and just showing people like how good you are. And I think I figured that out, but still got a little frustrated. But just women, unfortunately, are held to a higher standard. You know, you graduate college and, you know, you walk through the door and people see you as like, okay, you are a business professional and I expect you to act as such. And I think, like, guys out of college walk through and they're like, oh, if he messes up, he's like a boy, and like, you know, we'll let it go. Where girls was just like, you can't mess up. Like, what do you mean? Like, you're an adult. So it's frustrating, but don't take it personally. And if I could tell my younger self one thing, it would be let it roll and just like focus on yourself to just get better and like rise, and you will.
Yeah.
People see through the bullshit eventually.
I would say also trust your gut. Like, you love what you love for a reason. If a song moves you, you make sure everyone knows that that song moves you. I think younger me was so afraid to go like, I love this song and this is why, like, it makes me feel a type of way. And I think like that's something really big in A&R, is just to own your opinion and own the room, and and take up that space. You're there for a reason, you know? And I think that's like something that I would tell younger me. And then also network. You like, there should be no strangers in A&R. You know, we're a community. Everyone loves music. That's why you get into this. This is definitely a passion job, not for money. And but it's like one of those things where I think, you know, it's like, if you're out there networking and meeting everyone you can meet, and meeting every artist and meeting every writer and every producer, you're building this catalog that's unbeatable. When you have connections, those are the things that are unbeatable. And for example, Olivia was a part of a student group that came and talked at Universal, and I got the pleasure of meeting her. And now she's about to run the entire music industry. I know it. She, you know, it's meeting people that have like that hustle and that are ready to grow. And this is just the way to get in, is just be fearless. Like Kate said, like, just go for it. You have nothing to lose. You just need to show up and prove yourself.
Yeah, and I think people are always gonna not, I don't want to say doubt you, but like they're always gonna have, you know, take what you say with a grain of salt. And I think just let people see you work and let people see you putting points on the board. I think that's the best way that you can kind of show that you're right. Like, you know, if you like something, prove it. Like, show why, you know, you're not wrong and other people like it. And I think so much of our job, which they don't tell you, is, you know, sometimes people can try to talk you out of your opinion a little bit. They can like ask you something so many times that you're like, I don't know, I thought I liked this and I don't know what I think about it anymore. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, stand your ground, be an independent thinker, and yeah.
That's a good one, Marguerite.
Definitely, especially as a young person, because they're going to be talking to older guys and they're going to be like, nah. And you just definitely have to trust in yourself. And you're like, no. Like I have a feeling, like I know, like I live on the internet, or like, I just like, I know, like, please, like, trust me. And like, you really have to stand your ground, and like, people will back you up if you really believe in it. But sometimes you really have to like stand your ground. And, you know, definitely back it up with like some fact and, you know, state your case, but you definitely will be challenged. But I think, you know, being a younger woman, we definitely have a perspective, and when you bring your stuff to older execs, a lot of times they're not going to understand the music that like we like or we listen to, or, you know, or that we think that will do well, and a lot of times I think ends up doing well. But, you know, it's definitely, it's intimidating sometimes to just be like, hey, you're wrong and I'm right. But, you know, and again, a lot of it is reading the room too. Like if someone's like, no, like get out of here, maybe it's a no. But like sometimes I've also been told that, and then I've come back and been like, yo, I know you don't want to hear this, but like I'm gonna say it again. And then like you make them put out an offer for an artist. So it's like, I don't know, it's crazy. And you definitely go to bed at night being like, what the fuck just happened today? But you know, it's also, it's like a thrill also. And it's like, you know, you feel like a lawyer too sometimes, like stating your case. It's, I don't know, we wear many hats. It's weird.
Yeah. There's also like this weird stereotype and kind of stigma that A&R can't be collaborative, and it has to be like, no, this is mine and I signed it, this is my thing, and you know, I have to do this. But I think like everyone's good at in different spaces. You know, there's sometimes there might be like a cultural thing or just like an internet thing or different areas of the music that it's like, no, I know this person gets that space, and maybe like, you know, I think it's okay too to ask for opinion and get like a second opinion and have that conversation. And even when you don't agree, like I say to people all the time, I'm like, we don't have to agree all the time. Like this is a healthy conversation. We're not arguing, we're not disagreeing. We're just like sharing why we think that. Like it's healthy.
No, and I definitely think that's been a cool thing for me moving over a lot to like the A&R research side, because a lot of times I'll flag things and be like, hey, like this isn't something that I could A&R because, you know, I'm not like, I'm not the most like pop down the middle person that you're ever going to meet, but like there are definitely people on my team who I know would like really fuck with this. And, you know, I actually feel really fortunate to work with like a really collaborative team of A&Rs, people who aren't like, no, this is mine and nobody can listen to it until it's signed. And like, you know, it's actually really nice. And I can be like, yo, here, I found this, like this is doing this kind of data and and here's all this info. And a lot of times people will be like, oh, thank you, great, I'm gonna go pursue this if that's cool. And I'm like, yeah, please go take that. And it's actually been pretty fun for me and a pretty cool pivot from what I've been used to. So very different.
I work with two projects with a coworker of mine, Johnny Minardi, and you know, one of them is Chloe Morel, who's 17 and a girl, and he was like, we need to do this together because you get her, because when her and I hang out, like it's just like we have the same taste in music, we click, and I think it says something to surround yourself also with, like another advice I would give is make sure the team that you're surrounding yourself with are people that you see yourself in, like that you feel like you can talk to about things that aren't just work related, that you can be honest with, that, you know, there's no job that's worth being surrounded by people that you don't trust or that you don't feel like you can really kick it with when things aren't just all business. Like, and so much of this industry is social. And so making sure that like you're working for somebody that you see yourself being one day, I think is really important, because you'll go crazy if the person that you're, you know, looking up to isn't somebody that you really trust. And I also think another thing is, like, you know, you should start reaching out to artists now, like small artists that you find that you think are interesting. Like, you never know who you're going to bump into. And what I've realized is there's no relationship in this industry that is unproductive. Like, it will always become a productive and be beneficial to both of you in the end. Like, it will always come back in a way that you like don't expect it. You're like, you know, you send an email off and a manager replies and it's like a person you knew from ages ago from something, and you're like, hey, what's up? We haven't talked in forever. And, you know, it's always going to come back to serve you good in the end. And you should start reaching out, like Brooke said, like start networking and networking with artists and producers and writers directly as well. And just start it, and don't be afraid, because again, you never know who's going to be who one day.
I think I would say learn a skill. Learning a skill as far as like Ableton or learning how to record in the studio, how to make a beat, how to make simple edits to a song. I spent majority of my first year of A&R and at APG making edits with the assistants, with the engineers, just anyone that would teach me how to make an edit. And it's so useful, especially now when we don't have like studio assistants to make an edit to a song. It's just so much easier to just do it yourself. So I know the basics of Ableton, and it is a lifesaver. So I would just say like learning some type of skill that will make you valuable.
Good one, Karla. Trophy, do you got any gems for us?
Well, my mentors always told me two things, and that was just keep my head down and do the work, and to you just have to be right one time, because you know you might pitch 10 artists, but you know one of them is gonna go and they're gonna be really mad.
Yeah.
That they, you know. So just make sure that your voice is heard and you're very assertive, and you make sure that however you feel is felt, because that's what's important. If you don't let it be known, then they won't know that you were passionate about it, and they lost out on something that was good. So just make sure that your presence is felt. Definitely
make sure your presence is felt. That's a good one.
I think and just since we are talking to women who want to get into A&R or who are doing it, any woman in the industry, any woman in the world, like, do not ever feel like you have to be put into an uncomfortable situation to further yourself career-wise. Call that shit out. If you don't feel like you have to call that shit out, don't call it out. Keep it moving. But don't ever fold for men. Do not ever, ever, ever fold for a man. I don't care if it's your boyfriend. I don't care if it's your boss. I don't care if it's a producer, your favorite artist. Like, it will never, ever help you. And you will not be blackballed because there's a woman who's going to help you and stand up for you. More often than not, there's going to be a gang of men that are ready to stand up for you. So seek those allies and don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. If you're not cool with something, don't be cool with it for the sake of your worrying about how you're going to look to somebody. Like, leave that session, or don't answer that email or that text. Like, the amount of men I have blasted in this industry is unbelievable, and powerful men at that. Like, has it come back to bite me? No, I still have a check every 2 weeks. So just be strong, like, have a backbone. Don't ever feel like a man is ever gonna be the one writing your checks, because you will always get a job and we will always make sure you're good.
It's so important, like so important. And I'm so glad that you just said that, because I think it's kind of like one of the things that can be like an elephant in the room, but it's kind of not like an if, it's kind of a when. Like, it's going to happen at some point. It's just how you deal with it and how you continue to move around it, and just, like you said, there's going to be times when you're going to be able to call it out, and there's going to be times that it's not going to be worth it, but don't fold.
Yeah, you do not have to change who you are to be successful in this industry. Like, and you should stand the ground. I've gotten in many raised voice arguments with people I work with on these very topics, and it's just like, you fight for what you believe in, and you stand your ground, because it's going to make you better than the end. And sometimes it's like, you want to be the person, you don't want to have looked back on the situation and been like, why was I silent? Like, why did I not say something? Like, that lives with you more than saying it and worrying about what other people in the room thought of you. What you could have said will live with you longer than that. So always be yourself and stand your ground.
There can be a lot of pressure, I think, to be successful, and we all want to get to the finish line, and we all are hungry, and we all want it so bad. But I don't think it should ever sacrifice who you are, and you should never want to get it and have to change just the things that, like, your morals and how you would normally act outside of music. Because at the end of the day, like, we should enjoy what we're doing. Like, this is not brain surgery. It should be fun.
Yeah, I remember one day I was having was super anxious about something, and my coworker grabbed me and he was like, "Kat, you have the best job in the world." He was like, "This is you get to listen to music for a living. There's nothing beyond that should make you this upset." And it's just like, I always think about that when I get in my head. I'm like, God, like, you know, look at what we get to do every day. We get to make people's dreams come true. Like at the end of the day, that's incredible. And no, you know, small thing that gets you down should stop you from wanting to pursue that for people that are aspiring and then people that are in it currently.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. As you can see, we had some amazing gems dropped. The recap will be up on our YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube, Amethyst Collab. We also have another A&R interview coming out next week. And make sure to hit us on Instagram at Amethyst Collab, DM us, let us know what you thought of the panel. And we will see you all in 2 weeks for our next panel. Thank you.
Thank you,
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a good night.